Revelation is often regarded as the hardest book of the Bible to interpret, but it's not impossible. It's apocalyptic literature, yes, and it has a lot of symbolism, but it is never impossible to interpret. What I really want to address, and I already made a video on the Rapture, what I want to address is the dispensational view and how many people interpret Revelation so hyper-literally today. Why is Revelation literal? It's apocalyptic literature where everything is a symbol. It's honestly somewhat annoying to me how literal people take the book. They'll say things like, we have to take the Bible at face value, and that means taking it literally without trying to add metaphors. And they'll accuse us who take it symbolically as not reading the Bible at face value and trying to put our own interpretations into it. I think taking Revelation literally is very inconsistent in the book's genre and throughout all of Old Testament history. And I'll show why what's called the partial preterist view is the most consistent, at least in my opinion, historically and biblically. I'll begin by discussing literal versus metaphorical interpretations, then I'll outline the timing for chapters 4 to 19, not a pre-tribulation rapture, and then I'll conclude with the millennium and the establishment of God's kingdom in chapters 20 through 22. Firstly, in order to interpret Revelation, we need to see what it meant in its historical context to the people who were receiving Revelation in the first century. And really, what I want to say is that Revelation actually has a lot of parallels with the Old Testament, which is why I don't think anyone at the time ever would take it literally. It's a vision. That's really what I want to think about. It's a vision. It's the revelation of Jesus Christ to John in a vision. And throughout the whole Bible, visions have always been symbolic. They have never been taken literally even once. All the way in Genesis 37, we see Joseph having dreams. He said, "Behold, I dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me." Did this mean the literal sun, moon, and stars were bowing down to him? No, it was a symbolic way for God to show Joseph that his brothers were going to bow down before him. But what's interesting is the cosmic language, sun, moon, and stars bowing down to him, which obviously is not literal. Then, in Genesis 41, we find the Pharaoh's dream about 7 cows eating 7 smaller cows. And again, this is a dream, a way that God communicates future events in which nothing is literal at all. Obviously, 7 cows did not eat 7 smaller cows. It was a metaphorical description of a future famine that would take place. Lastly, I'll go to Daniel 7, where Daniel receives a dream showing 4 ferocious beasts rising from the stormy sea, a lion with eagle's wings, a bear, a 4-winged leopard, and a terrifying 10-horned beast with a little horn. This was not literal, or even close to it. It paralleled the king's dream, depicting 4 oppressive world powers and the ultimate transfer of everlasting dominion to the Son of Man and the saints of the Most High. Again, what I noticed throughout every single vision and oracle and dream in the Old Testament is that it uses this cosmic end times out of this world language to depict events that are temporal, and it has never been taken literally, ever. To the person who takes Revelation literally, I want to ask, throughout the entire Old Testament, can you provide one single example of a prophetic dream or vision that was literal, in which the prophecy literally happened? No. Everything has always been metaphorical or symbolic, and that's how visions in the Bible work. That's how this type of apocalyptic literature is to be read. So, with that in mind, how do we interpret the symbolic passages in Revelation, and what timing do they have? There are many different views, and again, end times literature is things we can disagree on. It is not an essential to the faith. But there have been many views. Some view it as events unfolding throughout church history. Some have different views of things right at the end of the world, but either way, it's all symbolic. It's not like literally 7 angels will blow their trumpets and come down onto the earth like it's often described. Personally, for chapters 4 through 9, my view is what's called partial preterism. Partial preterism is the view that asserts that Revelation was describing the day of the Lord as in 70 AD when the Jerusalem temple was destroyed. It was a huge event in the first century where this temple, the temple that the saints worshipped in, and a lot of other things happened in, was destroyed. On top of a lot of evidence in Revelation that I think points to the destruction of this temple, I simply want to say, What again is the historical context of visions? The Bible uses end times apocalyptic literature of sun and moon and stars and angels blowing their trumpets and all these crazy things for temporal events of judgment, which is why when I see Revelation 1:1 saying, "To show his servants the things that must soon take place," I interpret it as meaning literally soon take place to the people in the first century. This book describes events that literally happened in 70 AD. It is a metaphorical description of the Lord's judgment. To look at Old Testament scriptures that parallel this, I'm going to go to Isaiah 13:9 and 10. "Behold, the day of the Lord comes, cruel with wrath and fierce anger, to make the land of desolation and to destroy its sinners from it. For the stars of the heavens and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be dark at its rising, and the moon will not shed its light." And again we see in Joel 2, "Blow the trumpet in Zion, sound the alarm on my holy hill. Before them the earth shakes, the heavens tremble, the sun and moon are darkened, and the stars no longer shine. The Lord thunders at the head of his army. His forces are beyond number." Isaiah is an example of cosmic language describing a temporal judgment of Babylon in which the Lord showed his wrath on the earth. Joel 2 is talking about judgment of Judah, a temporary destruction which God showed his power. When I see the same language in Revelation 4 through 19 talking about judgment and the things that will soon take place, it makes perfect sense considering the continuity of the whole Bible and that the vision in Revelation should be taken the same as all other visions in the Bible, that this is simply referring to the temporal judgment of God. We have this first century event in which God showed his wrath on the earth in power. This is the day of the Lord for first century Jerusalem as described in Revelation. Lastly, I want to talk about the timing of the events in chapters 20 through 22 of Revelation. This is where I hold the amillennialist viewpoint, which is that the 1,000-year reign of Christ is not literal at all. These are parts in Revelation where the symbolism can actually be interpreted as referring to the future, the heavenly kingdom and the establishment of Christ's kingdom on earth. It talks about the tree of life and the perfect cube of Jerusalem, showing God's complete perfection. And that's what I take the 1,000 years to mean. A lot of literal views interpret this millennium shown by the 1,000 years to be a literal event, a literal 1,000-year reign of Christ on the earth before he defeats the devil for good. But again, throughout all the symbolism of Revelation and how numbers are used in the Bible, I don't think it's the case. For example, in Matthew 18, Jesus said, "Don't forgive your brother 7 times, but 70 times, as 7 is a common number in the Bible, as it's the rest day, the Sabbath." That doesn't mean literally forgive your brother 7 times. It means endless forgiveness. But again, it's because numbers in the Bible have symbolic meaning. It is formed of the round number of totality in earthly things. The 10 in that is increased to 1 of its higher value by being twice multiplied into itself. 10 times 10 times 10 equals 1,000. Still further heightened by being connected, not with days or with months, but with years. A 10 times 10 revolution of years, and that again increased tenfold. What a symbol of completeness. That is how I see Revelation. I don't see any reason in the rest of the context of the book to take this literally. But again, I do oppose the dispensational rapture view because of its problems and escapist theology that it promotes, but there are a lot of faithful Christians who hold to more literal views of this, and what I'm going to say is that these are not essentials, not things that we should divide on, and nothing to take too seriously, even though we should try to find the truth about the end times. If there's any questions, concerns, critiques for me, or things you want to know about, let me know in the comments. I'll try to address them and read as many as I can, and hopefully make more videos about the Bible, interpretation, and other aspects of Reformed theology, rather than a lot of what modern Christianity has become.